Angry Robot presents this unabridged recording of Liege-Killer by Christopher Hinz, read by Eric Meyers. Author note: the remastered editions. These remastered editions of the Paratwa Trilogy reflect the many historical, scientific, and technological changes that have come about in the decades since the novel's original publication, as well as presenting some new material. Whether encountering the Paratwa for the first time, or familiar with this universe through earlier editions, my hope is that you will discover or rediscover a universe of immersive and lasting pleasures. Christopher Hinz, Reading, Pennsylvania, USA, 2021. Helpless halts my tongue. A devouring fever runs in flames through every vein within me. Darkness veils my vision. My ears are deafened, beating like hammers. Cold, the sweat runs down me. A sudden trembling sets my limbs a-quiver. My face grows paler than the grass in summer. I see before me death stand, and madness. Sappho of Mytilene, 6th century BCE. 1. The shuttle crouched between skyscrapers in the center of the desolate street, dwarfing rusted cars. Gouged and dirty wings, arched slivers of white metal, swept upward from the squat body of the craft like floppy ears from a fat rabbit. The underbelly quivered, radiating heat. Gray smoke drifted out from beneath the craft, swirling into oblivion as it met the perpetual Philadelphia gusts. "What's the level?" Bronovich asked. The younger of the two crew members, he stood beside the monster engines, oblivious to the waves of heat pouring from the vertical landing jets. Their spacesuits were designed to protect them from far worse perils. Kelly grinned. Parched walnut skin crinkled across his cheeks made him look older than his 46 years. "Nothing to worry about within 5 clicks of here." Kelly twisted his neck forward, peeked out through the top of his helmet visor, and checked the readout counter mounted to his thick utility belt. "The scan reads less than .07. We're in a fairly safe area. We could probably even take our suits off for a minute or so." "Yeah," Bronovich grumbled, "and we could gulp some air and say goodbye to the colonies." Bronovich did not need Kelly or a poison counter to tell him that there was enough organic death in the smog to keep a cleanup crew busy for years. Kelly's grin expanded. "The air does seem a bit thick." Bronovich shook his head. He was not in the mood for Kelly's humor. "I'm telling you, I've had it. I'm sick of the whole damn planet. My contract is up in 2 months, and I'm not signing on for another tour. I've had it." His partner rumbled with laughter. "You told me that last year. Hell, admit it. You like it down here. You told me that you thought it was very serene. It pays good." Skyscrapers, metal and concrete shells, lined the boulevard. A few smaller structures were nestled in their midst like scared children clutching at their mother's skirts. Chunks of unidentifiable debris lay everywhere. To the west, a mountain of trash poked up through the lower smog cover, interrupting the flow of the street. Bronovich thought he detected form in the junk pile. It seemed to resemble a giant frog. He suspected some mad humans had been responsible for its creation during the final days. His theory seemed reasonable. Dying of radiation, and a host of other ecospheric poisons, would have justified the creation of such a weird monument. "Do you know what they used to call this place?" Kelly asked. Bronovich shook his head. "The City of Brotherly Love." Thankfully, the black face had lost its smile. Bronovich booted a crusted brick. "Let's get on with it. I want to get the hell out of here." They marched down the street. Open doors and glassless windows seemed to stare at them, dark eyes full of death, contemptuous of the living. Bronovich felt a familiar twinge of fear tighten his stomach. He hated these dead cities. It always seemed as if someone were watching, like they were intruding upon some private domain. Kelly broke into a fresh grin. He appeared to be enjoying himself. "All right. We know the pirates landed where we touched down. They must have been close to whatever they were looking for." "How do you know they were looking for anything?" Bronovich argued. "Maybe the bastards just dropped in at random, hoping to pick up a few artifacts. Or maybe they had shuttle problems and were forced to land for repairs." "I don't think so. First of all, they couldn't have been here for more than 2 or 3 hours. In and out real quick. Not nearly enough time for a profitable artifact hunt. And when did you ever hear of a shuttle dropping into a super-contaminated zone like this for repairs? Even if they lost their main engines, the vertical landing jets were still functioning. Had to be, in order to touch down safely in the middle of this mess." Kelly shook his head. "No. If it had been an emergency landing, they would have coasted down toward the Virginia area. The contamination's not as bad." Bronovich sighed. "These are Cousteaus you're talking about. They're not always that rational." Kelly laughed. "Maybe not. But most of the bastards got better ships than we do. Don't believe all that Guardian crap about stupid pirates and their run-down equipment." It was no sense arguing. "All right. Which direction? This is a goddamn big city." Kelly pointed toward the frog-shaped mountain. "That trash pile could have been their landing mark. There's nothing else down here that's so easily recognizable from the air, and if I were a Cousteau captain, I wouldn't have touched down any closer to it than this." "Landslides?" Bronovich asked uneasily. "Right. That mess doesn't look too stable. At this distance, at least the shuttle would be safe even if the whole damn mountain came tumbling down." "That still leaves a big area to search. Why don't we call base and request help?" "No way. I'm not going to get chewed out by some commander for tying up a whole unit just to find out what some pirates were looking for." Bronovich clamped his mouth shut. They had come from E-Tech, from the Berks Valley base, about 100 kilometers to the northwest. Berks was one of E-Tech's major experimental arenas where scientists and engineers sought methods for removing the contamination from the environment. Ecospheric turnaround was the long-term goal of the huge organization, a goal in which Bronovich no longer had much faith. Working down here as a shuttle pilot for the past 2 years had slowly eroded his belief. Too much of the Earth was dead. There were still insects and a few of the hardier forms of plant life, and there were humans in their protective garments. Most of the evolutionary links in between had perished. The complex chain of life had been broken by the madness of 2 centuries ago. Bronovich believed that the Earth would never again be a hospitable place for humanity. He and Kelly were assigned to perimeter duty. They checked on the status of various bioprojects that Berks initiated, searched for signs of natural life, ferried scientists to and from other bases, and policed the zone surrounding the Berks Valley. Today's duty fell into the last category. Early this morning, Berks' radar had picked up an unauthorized ship heading toward the Philadelphia area. Although the fix had been lost before the ship landed, projections had indicated several likely touchdown locations. Naturally, the pirates had already departed by the time he and Kelly located this landing spot. Cousteaus generally knew just how long they could remain in an area before E-Tech tracked them. Heavily smogged cities like Philadelphia made visual detection nearly impossible, and with E-Tech's severe limitations on AI and other tracing technologies, sensor analysis took time. Pirates were
Sample complete. Ready to continue?